make-believe, or are they?
Somewhere between 25 and 30 members in this clan.
These kids believed they were the undead, and police say murder was part of the act.
More and more, the kids are buying into a lot of the vampire fiction.
Are your kids buying in? We'll give you the warning signs.
Where do germs live that surround your gums and teeth?
I want to warn you right from the beginning. This next story is not suitable for young kids. But the sad thing is, it's about kids. Kids who lost control of reality and wandered into the bizarre world of vampires.
It's only a harmless role-playing game. They call it Vampire the Masquerade, and the players take it quite seriously.
One often gets valuable information when one can commune with the spirits of the dead.
These people are playing the game in Salt Lake City. It's a game made up of acting and dressing like vampires and playing out fantasy scenarios. Anyone can play, and thousands do every day. The game has lured people all across the country. People drawn in by the dark side. After a night of playing dead, it's supposed to be over. But on November 25th, just outside Orlando, the fun went too far. That night, the bodies of Richard and Ruth Wendorf were found brutally beaten to death. Police say among the 5 teenage suspects was the Wendorf's own 15-year-old daughter, a member of a vampire cult. After the murders, the teenagers disappeared. Police issued a national bulletin naming them fugitives. Then in the small town of Murray, Kentucky, the sheriff realized that 4 of the wanted kids were from his town, and he knew they were all members of a cult known as the Vampire Clan.
Probably about somewhere between 25 to 30 members total involved at different times in this clan.
So Sheriff Stan Scott launched his own investigation.
Basically what I did Thursday all day here at the office was contact the family members.
Sheriff Scott learned that one of the fugitives, 16-year-old Charity Kesey, had called her mother several times.
We were able to learn that the kids had been to an area and seen some kind of large battleship called the USS Kidd.
Sheriff Scott knew the Kidd was on display in Baton Rouge. With that knowledge, he and Charity's mother came up with a plan to track the kids down.
We devised an idea that the mother would tell Charity to take the group and go to the Howard Johnson's motel, and then when they were there, have the clerk contact her, thereby making arrangements for the payment of the room for them to stay there.
The kids went to the hotel. Sheriff Scott immediately contacted Baton Rouge police. Within minutes, the Wendorf murder suspects were all under arrest. Sheriff Scott says 16-year-old Rod Ferrell was the leader of the group. They say he's the one who took the bizarre vampire obsession too far, much too far.
We see a 16-year-old boy that becomes so involved in this that he actually believed that he was a demon, that he was possessed, and he had the power to conjure up demonic spirits.
And Sheriff Scott says Ferrell practiced other vampire rituals, like blood drinking.
Mr. Ferrell was into self-mutilation, and he had several scars on his arms and his chest. He truly believed that he was a vampire, whatever the case may be, by allowing one of his subordinates or one of the other members of the clan to suck blood, that they would receive some type of power from him.
The Wendorf murders are not the first time Rod Ferrell's vampire games have led him to law enforcement. According to Sheriff Scott, Ferrell is also a suspect in a grotesque crime at a Kentucky animal shelter back in October.
They took one of the dogs and stomped him to death, and then, for a reason we still haven't been able to fathom, they pulled the legs off the other dog and left the body there and took the legs with them.
It's disgusting, it's horrifying, but this is where they could go try it on someone else who couldn't hurt them.
Author Jeff Gwynne wrote a book about vampires called Something in the Blood. He says Ferrell and his group are a classic example of role-playing games gone too far.
Normally, you will have one leader in a teenage group who knows all the vernacular. Sadly, it goes even beyond that, and murder, human beings die.
Gwynne says for most teenagers, vampirism is a passing interest. But here are some warning signs that tell you if your child may be going too far. Unusual clothing, obsession with vampire books and movies, and even worse, signs of blood drinking.
If you see that your child has Band-Aids in odd places, the favorite places are the crook of the arm, the small of the back, the chest, the thigh, that's another sign.
Nothing but the truth.
According to authorities, the common threads among the 5 charged teenagers were problems at home and school, including low self-esteem. Gwynn says that may be one reason these kids went completely overboard with their vampire game.
The underground vampirism culture is all over the country. More and more, the kids are buying into a lot of the vampire fiction and movies. It's detrimental if you don't understand where fiction ends and reality begins.
But the inventor of Vampire the Masquerade says playing the game is no more than theater of the mind.
This is art. If even one mortal knows about us, they can spread the word.
Steve Wick insists there's no connection between his game and what happened in Florida.
The game had nothing to do with the crime. No weapons, real or fake, are used in these games. And it's something that you do for fun. It's something you do for entertainment.
I'm brawny, and I'm going to stop you. I'm nimble. I leap out of the way.
The rules state you can't touch anyone or use weapons, and you must know when to stop. But police say Rod Ferrell kept going, and now he, Heather Wendorf, and their friends may face death themselves for turning a game of make-believe into real-life, cold-blooded murder.
Parents, there's a very important lesson here. All the experts say, if you have teenagers, the first rule is know who their friends are, know who their peers are, know who they're hanging around with. And you've got to keep those lines of communication open with your teenagers. It's the best way you can make a difference in their lives.
Just ahead on America's Most Wanted, this Delilah had 2 strong Samsons. But that was one too many.
The only person he loves is himself.
Police say one traded pumping iron, pumping lead. Now, you can turn his barbells into prison bars when America's Most Wanted continues.